All righty. Well, welcome to another week of the weekly meeting of the Beavercreek Rotary, July 31st. First, I want to thank our greeters, Pray Tom, Chris Hadley, and little Eli. I love that energy, buddy. If you can just come every week, that'd be fantastic. I want to thank our ticket masters, Eric Marcus, Jim Bella for the website, Mike Swift, Pete Bales, and Mark Weinstein. Danny? Okay.
Well, greetings, my fellow Rotarians, on this last day of the first half of the year. Right. Could you join me in prayer? The Holy Creator, my fellow Rotarians and friends, all of us gathered here today have so much to be thankful for. Unlike some of our fellow mankind in parts of the world, we have clean water available to us, and every day we have abundant food, clothing, and shelter. Incidentally, we have automobiles, color TV, Wi-Fi, Blackberries, and iPods. Moreover, we have stimulating lives, in part due to Rotary. As Rotarians, we share a common purpose to serve our fellow man and to help others less fortunate. And we live by our heart. In all this richness of our lives, we are indeed grateful. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Well, thank you. Great. All right, Secretary's work. Mr. Eisen. Any guess? Awesome. All right. Without further ado, Mr. Ryan Rushy.
Oh, no. Thanks, sir. Well, good afternoon, everyone, fellow Rotarians and guests and featured speaker. I'm sure most of us here have heard the phrase, the snake that would have bit you. Well, recently I had one of those moments. I recently saw the new movie Odyssey in the theater, and throughout the film, they referenced Zeus's wall. And although I understood what the meant was in the context of the film, I had to look it up to kind of get some more information of what is this Zeus's wall they reference in the movie time and time again. Well, to the ancient Greeks, welcoming a stranger wasn't simply a matter of good manners. It was actually a sacred duty overseen by the god Zeus, who is best remembered as the king of gods and ruler of the sky. Zeus was also the Greek god of hospitality. Ancient Greeks gave Zeus the nickname Zeus Xenos, meaning Zeus of hospitality. Zeus enforced the ancient Greek idea of xenia, which means that hosts had to treat guests with complete respect. The word xenia has also been translated to mean guest friendship. So maybe by now you understand what snake bit me, but the city of Xenia, their official nickname is the city of hospitality. Now you know. Today is July 31st, which is National Avocado Day, which I believe last week we learned all about how avocados are genetically all identical. And also, who needs a purebred when your four-legged friend is a mixture of everything? Well, today is their day because it's National Mud Day. Today is also, in elevators, there seems to be unwritten rules. Face forward, don't really acknowledge, look at the ground, and don't talk to your fellow elevator mates. Well, today is National Talk in the Elevator. Strike up a conversation if you dare. And today is National Black Top Day. Now, for those who may be wondering what that means, don't worry, I had to look it up too. And unfortunately, no, it has nothing to do with tater tots, so that made me upset. But tots was a storied tradition in navies across the world where men serving in the British Royal Navy would receive a daily rum ration. This time-honored practice, which spanned over 2 centuries, came to an end today, which is now known as Black Top Day. The daily rum ration, or top as it was referred to, actually began in 1655 after the United Kingdom took over Jamaica. The island had an abundance of sugarcane, and which led to the production of rum. Well, the daily issue was officially codified in English law in 1731, and for the next 239 years, the British Royal Navy gave out daily issues of top or rum. Well, this lasted up until recently, where originally they would give out a half pint of rum to their sailors. But the original rum ration ended today on July 31st, 1970, when the United Kingdom finally ended the daily rum ration to its Royal Navy. And at that time, they were serving a little less than a pint, and a half pint rather, but they were approximately serving 3 ounces, which is roughly about 2 shots. So National Day, Black Top Day. One of the most fascinating facts about history is that oftentimes those in tremendous positions than maybe we would probably expect. And this is no truer than Marquez de Lafayette. Lafayette, one of the heroes of the American Revolutionary War, commanded Continental Army troops in the decisive siege of Yorktown. And for those that may be history buffs, the Battle of Yorktown was the final major battle of the American Revolution and secured American independence. Well, today in 1777, Lafayette was appointed a Major General of the Continental Army at the age of 19. Each year, one of the constitutional requirements is the United States government issuing patents. The United States Patent and Trademark Office issues hundreds of thousands of patents annually, with a current backlog of over 757,000 backlogs that have yet to be reviewed. Well, today, in 1790, the first ever U.S. patent was granted to Samuel Hopkins. Can anyone here guess or care to guess what may have been the first United States patent?
How to make a rum.
Ah, yes. You have your hand up?
Oh, that's what the king.
Well, you get the golden star. The first ever patent issued in the United States was for potash processing. And for those that may not know what potash processing is, neither did I. Potash is a group of water-soluble containing salts used primarily as agricultural fertilizer. Makes a lot of sense. It's used to improve crop yields. Well, today in 1853, it was dark no more because the first nighttime surgery occurred today due to the invention of the kerosene oil lamp. First nighttime surgery occurred in what is now Ukraine. Well, he was just a hunk of burning love. Elvis returns to the concert stage for the first time in over 8 years today in 1967, beginning a 4-week, 57-show engagement at the newly opened International Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. In 1972 today, Missouri Senator Thomas Elton withdraws as the Democratic vice presidential candidate for George McGovern after news broke that Eagleton sought treatment for and battled depression. Times surely have changed in what qualifies somebody for public office. Today, in 1995, Walt Disney Company announces the acquisition of ABC for a price of $19 billion. The network now consists of Disney, ABC, ABC Sports, ESPN, and ESPN2. Teddy Roosevelt and his antitrust laws are probably questioning how this has all come to be. In 2007, Cuban President Fidel Castro hands over power to his brother Raul Castro. And recently, you may have all seen the news, the baseball card company Topps recently released a new set of baseball cards, which include a one-of-one chrome dual gold logoman called signed by star Shohei Ohtani. Well, this card was found this week in Florida, and the were able to obtain this card is selling it to a collector for a price of $10 million. You know, random acts of kindness happen every day, ranging from small acts like holding the door open for someone or paying for the person behind you at a drive-through line. But random acts of kindness also lead to life-changing events. This occurred recently at the John Wayne Airport in Orange County, California, where a woman filmed an airport worker who she noticed could barely walk on the tarmac. Noticing his determination in his work, but also his pain in walking, she took to the internet and posted a video on her personal TikTok and asked a simple question if anyone knew who this airport worker was. Well, the internet did its thing, and eventually this man was identified as James Blair, a Navy veteran who was 64 years old and had working at the John Wayne Airport since 2006, despite being hardly able to walk due to a pair of irritated knees. It was uncovered that despite this, he continued to work to support his elderly mother who was in hospice care. Well, the woman felt needed to act, set up a GoFundMe account, and in short time, over 6,000 people contributed to this GoFundMe account. And this week, it was announced that a total of $174,000 was raised for this airport. They were able to get in contact with James Blair, who was interviewed by the local news and who stated that he was in complete shock that a random person on a random flight, on a random, happened to be in a ram chair by the window, decided to look out and show him some grace and help pay it forward. So good acts do happen, big and small. Please, you pay it forward as well. Now some jokes. What happens to frogs who illegally park?
They croak.
They get towed. I ordered a chicken and an egg online. I'll let you know which one comes first. What did a cake say to the fork? You want a piece of me? Why does a chicken coop only have 2 doors?
Because not a chicken sedan.
Because if it had 4, it would be a chicken sedan. And Phil, who desperately wanted a raise at work, he walked into his boss's office one day and said, "Boss, I'll be honest with you. I know the economy isn't great, but I got 3 companies after me, and I have to ask for a raise." Well, after thinking about this for a day or so, boss came back to Phil and says, Phil, you're a great employee, and I really don't want to lose you. I'll give you a 5% pay raise. Phil thanks his boss and happily gets up to leave. By the way, the boss asked Phil, what 3 companies are after you? Phil replies, the electric company, the water company, and the plumbing. Today's fines. If you were late or not wearing a badge, that's $1. If you have ever read the book or seen the movie The Odyssey, that's $1. If you've ever collected baseball cards, unfortunately, you didn't have the $10 million one, so it's going to cost you $1. And if your dog is a mutt, give them an extra treat today, and that's $1.
No, that chick keep one's a good one. I'll have to let it into that. That's a different one. All right, special announcement. So on August 4th, that's coming up. That's at Beho for community night. So just keep that on your calendar. Also next week is Fair Week in Greene County. So I was informed that if you want to know what's going on, get on the Greene County Fair Facebook page and you can find out all the stuff that's going on. Eli, you should talk to your dad about taking you to the fair, okay? On Wednesday, it's family night, $16 wristbands. So, they can ride as much as they want. And then last night, the Beavercreek had the Night Against Crime. Big shout out to all the first responders, all the different local municipalities that were there. It was a great event, and so thank you for what you guys do. Happy Bucks. Who's happy? Eric.
So, my wife and I went and saw Odyssey on Monday in IMAX at the Green. It's intense.
So that means definitely dollars coming from you then.
It's worth it. $16 a ticket.
Eli, what was yours?
We got two.
Okay.
So first one, piggybacking off you, thanks again to Township Police Department and all other entities that partook in the Night Against Crime last night. This little guy had a blast. I remember seeing Dion when he was not a fully grown adult and having a blast. And I have a second one. I got the email earlier this week that me and my cameraman were selected to be getting field passes for the Beavercreek football games this upcoming season. So I'm really excited to be on the field and not stand.
Nice. Anybody else? Yeah.
Second vote, that's the one that church.
Yeah.
Perfect player.
It was great. That fire truck was fun with the sprinkler at the end. Those kids loved
Add a little more water.
Yeah.
Here.
Anybody else? I'm happy. So, Chris, thank you for holding down the fort last week while I was gone. It was great to get away for a quick family vacation. The Bahamas were amazing. And so, yeah, I did miss you guys. So, yeah. Nice. All right, 50-50. Where's the bucket?
While we're doing that, so another thing, August 4th, I'll leave these on the table, but the Beavercreek Chamber is having their soft opening hard hat tour. Even if you don't like the chamber, there's going to be free city park. So we'll have a 6:30 to 6:30.
All right, Eli, I need you to draw my ticket, buddy.
No.
Very.
I need to well. Stick one up. 920.
Not any left.
Well, I need to go over. Do that. Thanks for late. What's the no latency? I know nothing like.
920? No, I have 930. That's what I'm saying. You sure it's not a 3?
Yeah.
I was looking for a draw again. Well, it's cast all violence. Yeah. Do it. Autograph. Yes. All right, Pete, go ahead and start speaking.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker today. Steve will be our tour guide through Great Council State Park. Great Council State Park is Ohio's newest state park, which opened in 2024 near Xenia on the historic site of Old Chillicothe, which is an important Shawnee community. The park was developed in partnership with 3 federally recognized Shawnee tribes and features an interpretive center, educational exhibits, trails, and native prairie areas. Great Council State Park has quickly become an important cultural and educational destination for our region. So please join me in giving a warm Rotary welcome to Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
I'm taking my watch off and setting it on the podium because in addition to being a tour guide at Great Council, I'm also a retired priest in the Episcopal Church. And when you put a preacher behind a podium and hand over a microphone, it could become a hostage situation. Got a couple things to set up here. Here is our mascot at Great Council. His name is Sikona. He is a Carolina dog or a North American dingo. That's a dog breed native to North America and a very common pet in Shawnee families and Shawnee communities, both 250 years ago and today. The word Sikona is the Shawnee word for stone because the plush toys came out gray. So henceforth, this is Sikona, and he pops up all over the place at Great Council State Park. You had mentioned we are a partnership. We are indeed with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, the Ohio History Connection, and the 3 federally recognized Shawnee tribes who now live in Oklahoma, but will forever understand Ohio to be home. It is the site of the Shawnee village called Chillicothe. Chillicothe is a Shawnee word that means leading town or gathering place. It's where the chief lived, and it moved. Unlike Beavercreek, which is a place and people come and go, for the Shawnee, when the community needed to move, they took the name of their town with them. The site of Great Council State Park, the Shawnee village of Chillicothe, was at least the 4th iteration of that village. The first one being at the mouth of the Scioto River near where Portsmouth is. As the Shawnee were forced north from there, they went up the Scioto River to near where Chillicothe, Ohio is. They were forced from there and moved further up the Scioto River to just below where Circleville is. And then in 1777, they left the Scioto River Valley and came here to the Little Miami River Valley. There were over 1,000 residents in that Shawnee village. The extent of that village was huge. It was not only the site of the state park, but it extended at least as far as the Greene County Fairgrounds and at least as far as the Chrysler dealer at the north end of Xenia. It was a very big deal and by far the largest community of people in the Ohio country in the 1770s. When the village was there, it was at the height of the American Revolution and also skyrocketing encroachment over the Appalachian Mountains into the Ohio country by pioneers who were not coming to trade as the British and French traders had done for a couple generations. The pioneers, these early Americans, were coming into the Ohio country to settle, to live, to farm, create new communities, small business enterprise, some running away from old lives, some just out to explore and landed in this place. It was a time of conflict and of tension and of violence that went both ways. The root of it is in American westward expansion. At Great Council, you will meet characters like Daniel Boone, Simon Kenton, Tecumseh and his sister Tecumpiasi, who raised Tecumseh, Chief Cornstalk and his sister Nanhalema, Chief Blackfish, and you'll also meet a man named Caesar. And that's not the Roman emperor. Caesar was an African American, either a freedman, or an enslaved person who had escaped, landed in southern Ohio, and Caesar worked as a translator between the Shawnee people and the traders and the pioneers. He was invaluable to both cultures here in this part of the world. Have you ever been to Caesar's Creek State Park? When the creeks and rivers of southern Ohio were being given new names, that creek was already known as Caesar's Creek, and it stuck. We do all of this on all of 15 acres. The Interpretive Center is our centerpiece, that gorgeous building intentionally designed after a Shawnee council house. And if you're wondering why it's so close to Route 68, right up against the road, it's the exact footprint of what had been the famed and storied Tecumseh Motel. Colorful history of that lodging established. During construction, we got pushback that by tearing down the Tecumseh Motel, we were destroying Greene County history. Really? That's the history you want to protect? But that's why the building sits where it does. By building on that footprint, the state wasn't disturbing the land any more than it already had been. The balance of Great Council is a gorgeous prairie at peak bloom right now, half-mile loop trail cut through it, plus a spur that goes down to the Little Miami River. It's walking, it's not hiking. If you do the trail, it's all of a mile to the river and back. We also have buffers around the property. Down one rise, land belongs to the Little Miami Conservancy. On the other side, hundreds of acres that this year is corn. Mr. Miller's cornfields, his farmland, is now part of the Tecumseh Land Trust. We're really happy for that buffer. It'll never be a Costco. It'll never be a golf course. It'll never be a housing subdivision. And given the extent of that village, we're really, really happy about that. There are amenities in progress, and I left a picture on each table of what is coming. Crossing over Route 68 directly next to the park is a new bike and pedestrian bridge that will connect Great Council's property to the Little Miami Bike Trail. Over 800,000 people a year use the Miami Valley Bikeways, and we see this bridge as being a terrific asset to the future programming at the park. Also, on the flip side of that sheet, there's an observation tower well underway now. Governor DeWine refers to it as a vertical trail. Beautiful Native American design, 48 steps up in a circular staircase, and it will give you a commanding view, not only of Mr. Miller's cornfield, but of the prairie and the wetlands down to the Little Miami River. We believe we're making an impact, both in terms of education and economic development. Since we opened June 7th, 2024, over 55,000 people have come into the Interpretive Center. When I was approached about coming up to work at Great Council from Collin Lake, I asked the district manager, I said, what's going to happen with this? Are people going to show up? And she just shrugged and she said, we really don't know. 55,000 people in the first 2 years is giving us the answer. This is becoming an important asset, not only for Xenia and Yellow Springs, but also for Greene County and Southern Ohio in general. In 25-26 school year, We had 3,300 school students come through the interpretive center. I don't know about you. When I was in elementary school, we did not learn Native American history. These kids are coming out for a hands-on experience on this sacred ground, sacred to the Shawnee people. We already have 1,100 students signed up for September and October. Pretty happy about that as well. The shining example of that programming happened last fall. We took our story to all 1,200 students at Fairborn Intermediate, grades 3, 4, and 5. There were 45 classroom presentations, and I got to lead 39 of them. So that script is locked up here really, really well. We've had from Yellow Springs as far as Marysville, Jamestown, Xenia, Bellbrook, Dayton Public, Mad River. We haven't had any schools from Beavercreek yet. And so if you can poke somebody, we have been in touch with the superintendent. We haven't heard back yet. We would love to share the story with our friends and neighbors in Beavercreek local schools. And if the students can't get to us, we will go to them, which we showed by heading over to Fairborn. We hit all the curriculum standards for social studies, Ohio grades 2 through 5. We've got this down pat, and the students have a blast when they are there. And a feature that you may not think about very often is there is no admission fee, not a dime, because we are an Ohio State Park. Ohio is one of 7 states left that does not charge admission for day use at state parks. And many people are dumbfounded. They pull out their wallet and want to hand me money. Well, there is no fee. And of course, my second remark is, but we absolutely take donations. We do have an endeavor right now. We're looking for resources to fund school transportation. That is often the barrier to students coming out to Great Council. We had a parochial school from Chillicothe come over in the spring, 50 kids on the bus. We didn't charge any admission, but those students each had to pay $18 for the school bus to come over. It's a very expensive endeavor. And we're looking for ways to help it especially for the schools that just don't have the resources to do that. We are open from Wednesday to Sunday from 10 until 5. People always show up on Monday and Tuesday, as is the case with most historic sites and interpretive centers. We're not open Monday and Tuesday, but we are there from Wednesday to Sunday. At least one tour offered every day, if not 2. And there is varied programming that also changes season by season. Today's calendar is chock full. We had a busload from the Logan County Land Trust there at 8:30 this morning for a tour and for another program. The best way to find out what programming is, what we've got going on, like us on Facebook. Our program schedule is pinned at the top of that page. Also, if you just Google Great Council State Park, that'll take you to the ODNR website, and our programming is also listed there as well. Come and see us. Tell your friends. I left brochures on the table. If you will take it and use it, by all means do. If you're not going to use it or don't need it, just leave it there and I'll take it back to the park. The state has printed its last paper brochure. From here going forward, it's all QR codes. So we put in a really big order. So we do have a number of those brochures left. We'll never get it. And they're pretty useful. So now I'm here to entertain any questions or ideas you might have. Questions, concerns, celebrations? Yes, sir.
So with all the space, and I see the like rendering here in your brochure, do you plan on doing any like recreation of the village environment similar to like Sunwatch?
That's unlikely. In dialogue with our tribal partners, they're not excited about recreating an artificial community.
Right.
This was home and they value that, but now their communities in Oklahoma. But just putting up buildings that people who aren't Shawnee can look at, that's really not on their list. I don't completely understand it, but I sure do respect it.
Take them over to Sunwatch.
Ah,
I said you should take them over to Sunwatch.
and there's a difference there because Sunwatch is a village from the Fort Ancient culture.
Right.
The Shawnee are a tribe who are still present and still living. The Fort Ancient culture has passed.
Yeah, because they were nomadic. They didn't maybe necessarily have as much like a defined. I don't know. I don't know. I just think that's peculiar. But yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it is peculiar, but out of respect for our tribal partners, that's kind of how things are. Now, we often have visitors say, when are you going to start digging up that prairie to find out where the buildings were? And the answer is, we're not. If our tribal partners want to do any excavation, go for it.
Right.
But now that said, even though we're not planning to turn a shovel full of soil, this fall, late this fall, we have arranged, and with tribal support, we're going to do some LiDAR exploration of the property. The LiDAR vehicle looks kind of like a Mars rover, and for it to do its thing, we have to shave the prairie off. And we are not shaving the prairie off when it's at bloom. So if you come out to Great Council in November or early December, you might see a Mars rover tooling over the hills down towards the river. Yes, sir.
You mentioned that the Shawnees move from time to time. What was the reasons for the move?
If they had been left alone, they would move every couple of generations for the sake of the land. Because they see the land as their partner with whom they have a relationship. It's not something to just use and walk away from. But by the time of Shawnee tribal identity, the Europeans were already beginning to show up. So when they moved, functionally, it was because they were being pressured and they were just trying to absent themselves from the conflict and the tension and the violence, from encroachment from people who understood life very differently than they do.
Yeah.
And notice that movement where I said all the Chillicotes had been, the movement is always to the north and always to the west. Finally culminating with the Indian Removal Act in 1830. There were 3 Shawnee reservations in Ohio that became the genesis for the 3 federally recognized tribes with whom we work today. There was a reservation at Wapakoneta, one at Lima, and one at Lewistown, which is near Indian Lake. The Indian Removal Act passed Congress by 1 vote. President Andrew Jackson enthusiastically signed it into law. It was then blocked by the U.S. Supreme Court, and it happened anyway, because the U.S. Supreme Court does not have the means to enforce its rulings. The Supreme Court is dependent on respect for the rule of law. So off they got shoved, first into Missouri, and then later into Kansas, and then finally Oklahoma. Dude. Yes, sir.
What is your favorite park?
My very favorite park is Shawnee Park in Xenia because I take my grandkids there. And it even has a zip line for kids.
Wow.
And we can walk to it from our house, and then we walk to the dairy station and get us. Hands down, my favorite state park is Collin Lake State Park down near Wilmington. I worked in the campground for 3 years as I was flunking retirement and making pizzas and scooping ice cream and having a ball. All right.
All right.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did pretty well on the time you got it.
Yeah. You
For being a preacher.
did not really well, right? What's that from the microphone? There.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Just covered.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's sweet. Native American story.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Yeah, all right. Thank you. You're very welcome. Yeah, and Beth does a great job as always.
Good choosing.
Warrior Waters. So great
Good
book.
choosing.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So is there any additional club information for today? No? All right. So a reminder for our next board meeting is August 14th. Oh, yes, Beth, go ahead. No, we're full. Yes. Go ahead.
That's on there.
That's right. We need two then. I'm sorry.
Chamber.
Yes, we just need two volunteers for that night. Just let me know. And then, reminder, the next board meeting is August 14th. Next week, our graders are Fran and Ed O'Shaughnessy. And I think that is, our speaker for next week is Dave on the Revolutionary War veterans buried in Greene County. So great speaker next week. All right. If that's it, let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
It's not.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Great, thank you. They have